Today, we will be talking about the things that you should know when you're considering opening up your own studio. Being a studio owner, I have learned so much and I've grown a lot as a photographer. However, while I consider my studio to be one of my biggest blessings, it comes with its challenges. I will be talking today about the things that you should know when you're considering opening up your studio. While some of us have the option to open a studio at our house, many of us must consider renting or buying a space. This requires a big investment that will not only include the equipment that you will need, but will also include rent payment, first, last, and security deposit if you are renting the space. You will also need money to set up utilities such as electricity, internet, phone, insurance, and waste disposal, just to name a few. The type of location will also affect your initial investment. I opted to rent a warehouse. It originally did not come with an AC unit. I had to pay for that and wait for over a month for the installation to take place. So, my advice to you is to start saving and keep a good credit score. While your score may not matter to some of the landlords, it will definitely help if a loan is needed. Do not make the same mistake that I made. I repeat, do not make the same mistake that I made. My studio was in Hollywood, Florida. When initially renting my space, I was told it would be $3,400 a month. Now, I know there would be utilities and other bills involved, but instead of doing my research, I chose a vague number. I basically said, all right, rent is about $3,400. Let's add $600 to it. So we would be looking at about $4,000 a month. And I based my prices around just that. Wrong. I was wrong. It did not take me long to find out that electricity alone during the summer would cost us over $700. And that's just the light bill. I did not think about my husband's income, my income, and I definitely did not think about a future employee's income. Now, if you want to be profitable, you must calculate this upfront and base your prices on that. And that's not all. Consider the fact that rent will go up every year. And in my case, I never know by how much. I will tell you this though. In 3 years, our rent went up by almost $2,000 a month. So yes, future price adjustment will be necessary for you to remain profitable. But if you set up a good initial cost now, the increase in the future will be less steep. While owning a studio allows you to unleash your creativity, it can also limit your flexibility, and you may feel tied to it. A simple solution is to hire a trustworthy person to help you manage it. Other studios have chosen to do like a physical or virtual studio, where they do not need to be physically present during their rental sessions. And this is a whole other topic. In my case, I opted to have an assistant. And if you are a photographer who travels a lot, you can choose to have your own team of photographers who can cover a shoot for you if you are not here. The photography business is highly competitive, but I always say that there's room for everyone to eat. Owning a studio does not guarantee success. You must commit to it. Regular maintenance will be needed. The wear and tear is going to happen. And the sets will need to be changed every now and then. You must market yourself and build a strong client base. Some of the photographers who have used my studio, they often tell me that they do not book just because of the space. They love our interactions and our conversations. Now, talking about these interactions, they are definitely an advantage. Why? Because I have learned a lot from other photographers renting my studio, and it's a perfect environment for networking. And this will come in handy when you need a photographer to cover a shoot for you or be a second shooter at an event. Now, while you have increased your overhead by opening up a studio, you need to realize you have also created a second stream of income if you are planning to rent out the studio. Maybeline Photography and Pick City Studio are two different streams of incomes. Sometimes the studio is booked while I'm at a different location shooting. This brings me to another mistake that I made. Include your studio rental fee in your packages. Prior to having a studio, my session fee was $175. If you wanted to shoot at any other studio, the studio's cost was the client's responsibility. When I opened Pick City, I kept my session fee the same and did not add a studio cost to it. Now, it took another photographer renting the studio to make me realize the mistake that I was making. Because it was my studio, I felt like, okay, I own the space, so I did not think about charging for it. But he made me realize that I was consistently paying for it. My rent and my bills are monthly. And if I don't put that in my packages, then I am now covering the bill out of my pocket. So instead of doing that, it is so much better to have the studio generate its own income. So yes, add your studio costs, whatever it is, to your packages. Last but not least, my studio doesn't only provide me with a space to store my equipment, my props, I have a lot of them. It also provides me with a space to meet with my clients, and it allows me to be as creative as I want to be, and I can be creative. Ultimately, the decision to open a studio will depend on your personal goals, your financial situation, and how you prefer to work. In my case, I believe it was one of the best decisions that I've made. By the way, this is me coming at you frankly with the actual numbers. Comment below to share your experiences with me, or if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. And don't forget to subscribe, because I will be coming out with more content.